Updated version of fake news and police helicopter cover-ups for October 23rd. So at 10:32 a.m., a small two-tone white-blue helicopter crossed in the Copter pocket across the street, behind the houses across the street from me, and it went left to right, so headed down towards Alicia Parkway. And that happened when I ran inside to the bathroom for a second, so it was waiting nearby, or possibility that it was just coincidental, but I don't think so. And the copter was turning behind 24191, so it did the military copter cover up, and then it continued out straight towards Geronimo Alicia intersection. And so that's because the two-tone military copter that they painted with the blue bottom, white top, in order to eventually fly two of them over my house to cover up for the double Black Hawk threat, which is just one threat that was recorded. I've had Sea Dragons and Black Hawks tear the roof off many times. At 11:15 a.m., the police helicopter traveled down the same copter pocket, left to right in the same direction, and did the military copter turn at 24181, so one house down. And then it left in a straight line, and it was also doing a tail wave. And when it did the straight line, it did the pulses to cover up the speed of the straight line. And so the straight line part is to cover up for that. Only started when I was underneath the helicopter at 24092 down the street, recording him and explaining. I believe it was the third incident. So one time he threatened me, and he did power circles down by my house, and then also power circles at 24092, and I was under the helicopter, and he was at like 60 feet, maybe 70, but he came down to 60 a few times, and I could see him in the windshield. It was crazy. And so then they were doing a cover up for it at night, and I ran down there, and I was underneath him recording it. And so he took off. Well, there was a second one that I recorded, and then the third one at night, I was explaining how there was two situations, and then the guy was thinking on his own, and he took off and did a dart out, basically down my street, slightly towards Geronimo Montilla intersection. And so that was the origination of the straight line dart. And so the tail wave then is because when they started really trying to organize cover-ups to the police helicopter, he flew over my house from the back, from El Dorado Park, straight over my house, perpendicular to the street, when I was standing in the bed of my truck on the street, and he waved the tail like this is the cover-up of all cover-ups. And so that was the event where he went down to the park and then beyond Geronimo Montilla, and then I ran out of storage space and came back to my house, and he came back to threaten me, and I deleted the apps and recorded him. And that point is significant because of the next event at night. So this event at 7:33 till about 8 o'clock, he was coming up the park, and he was sneaking up the park, the contour of El Dorado Park, so coming from Geronimo Montilla area up the park towards Montevideo Elementary School. And then I caught him, I saw him, and then he recognized that I saw him, and then my phone shut off as I was recording him. So then he came up, he turned left. So they have this new thing now where there's the circle around my neighborhood, and then they have deviations, and one of the deviations is to turn from the park right there and cross over my roof. And the reason for that is to cover up for a few events, like when he flew over my house at 11:30 at night and tried to lead me down the street and then do power circles and then spotlight me. And so they've tried to cover that up ever since then, and I'm going to make a separate video highlighting that after I do all of these, so that I can make an organized review of the specific points that they're trying to cover up that prove personal interaction. And so my phone shut off, and then he came out and he did that routine. Off of the routine, he did the turn that then sometimes comes across my roof. And he crossed over the third house on my street, on my side of the street from Solero Oliveira intersection, so two houses down from me, making a left. And then he did a dart, and he went out towards Geronimo Montilla intersection. So he did the dart to cover up for the 24092, the transformer fire explanation. And then he was doing left turn circles, which is from the event with the deletion of the apps. That's when that originated. Around that time period, there were a few, so maybe that apps one was in the first one, but it was the damming one. And so he was doing left turn circles down there, and then during that app event where I deleted them, he came back up, and then he got stuck behind the tree at 24191 at the end of my street, so Solero Castilla block. And that's where he was doing the circles. So they extended the circles from Geronimo Montilla intersection and beyond it, all the way up to behind the tree at Solero Castilla block. And they've also had many fake burglary alarms and other incidences out beyond Geronimo Montilla. So now they've created it as a regularity, as well as a regularity of routine surveillance or taking calls and thinking, so doing circles, but also as actual calls. So it's doubled up, and that should be conflicted. And so then he stalled behind the tree at 24191, and I think that was possibly just to lead me out. So maybe they were trying to lead me out and also spotlight me a few houses down, like they've done many times. Or it was to just show that he's taking a call and he's thinking, he's all pensive, and they're in the moment trying to help people. And so that's why he just floats in that area a lot, because that's a spot where they take calls and he's on his routine circle. So he's just hanging out, and it's okay, it's not a big deal. And there's also Cessnas with flashing lights, and that was a theme they're trying to start saying that it's not the helicopter, that it's just Cessnas with a red flashing light. And they also have some with red and white flashing lights to cover up for the police copter, and they send them all out around the same time, and they fly them in the police helicopter route now, and then they have the copter come back. And so they also, because my phone is tapped, they turn down the intensity of the red light. And so there are a bunch of incidences like that, and everything works backwards off of my phone evidence, which is broken and tapped. So just like the jumbo event the other night, they set the fire, and then they flew the jumbo jets down on my roof, and then my phone is tapped, so they're telling the jumbo jets where to turn and to dim their lights. And then I come out with crap evidence, and they're like, oh, that doesn't even matter. So that's for 1023.